Welcome into an all-new episode of Panthers on Tap. I'm Curtis Round, joined by Bryson Carbley, Ricky Rains, coming to you guys on a Wednesday evening. Another victory in the books and an historic one at that. And gentlemen, it's good to see you. Good to have a voice back, not feel like dog shit. How are we doing tonight?
It's wonderful. It's very exciting to get on here and talk about a Panthers win. I was so down last week, and hey, I'm back up now, and I'm ready to get hurt again. So excited to get into the game and talk about next week or this weekend, and chat it up with you guys like always.
I'm on cloud nine. Out of the three of us, I was the one that picked the Carolina Panthers to win that football game, so I'm already happy about that. Right? I've been riding that high. And then tonight, my Cubbies extend their life.
Let's go Cubbies!
Against what is the team they're playing? Some sort of I don't know, some weird team in Milwaukee. The losers, the Brewers. And so they extend their life tonight. And I guess you guys know what time we need to get started here, right? You know what we need to do when we win these games. Our new thing. Should we go ahead and dial that one up for everybody?
Dial it up.
Fire it up.
It'll never get old.
That video makes me smile every
It will never get old because it's about a Panthers victory. I tell you what. That's two, baby. I didn't know how many times I was going to get to wear this dumbass hat, but two, that's more than I actually thought. So this is a fun time to do it, man.
Amen, man. And we have champagne. We might as well toast to the second win of the season.
This is wine. I want everybody to know I'm drinking wine.
I went classy this week because I had the actual wine glass last time, and I figured I'd do it out of a Panthers Pilsner glass so that it just looks a little bit more like the football show that we are.
Yeah, I went with my my wedding champagne flute that I had at our wedding, so here we are. But no, man, hey, it's good. We'll be playing that video throughout. If y'all haven't tuned in the last time after that Atlanta Falcons ass whooping. But yeah, let's go to the chat real quick, and then we'll get to what we're all drinking this evening besides the champagne. We already do have a super chat, so I'm going to start off with that. Zachary, is it Geffart? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'll give that one a stab. Here's a fun one. What comes first, a T-Mac touchdown or a score and sack? Both are getting so close. Keep up the awesome work and keep pounding.
Like that question.
First, cheers to Zachary for the super chat, $5. We appreciate you, sir.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, buddy.
And I'll start. I think it's T-Mac, and I think it's going to be this weekend. But I also think Scorton could get it this weekend too. So let's hope they both get in the same game. Why are we betting against each other here? So I'll say T-Mac hits it first, but let's get them both this weekend. I do think T-Mac is ever so close on a lot of reps that he's had. He's had a couple that I thought he would break off for a touchdown. Hasn't. And then on the flip side, Scorton has gotten so damn close too, where it's just like, man, he's a tick off. And when he gets it, I think there's going to be many more to follow. So, but yeah, if I was betting at all, I'd go with T-Mac. What about y'all?
I've really enjoyed seeing Nick getting so close though. And then I don't know if y'all heard the question that Vashti asked him in the locker room, about, hey, are you still like, how do you feel about not having gotten your first sack yet? Are you itching to get it? And the facial expression he gave her, man, he was, and he said the right thing. He's like, look, we're winning games. That's what we want to do. We want to win football. The play was finished, but then he kind of gave her this look of, but come on now, I want my sack. I want my numbers. I want to eat too. And I absolutely love it, man. I thought he was extremely effective in this game. I thought that T-Mac had a terrific first half of that football game. And then, it was a quiet second half which, it's okay. They still came back and won that football game. But I think there's a good chance that both of them, Curtis, like you said, I think both of them could get on the board here. And I think that when either of them or both of them do start their streak here, watch out. I think it could come on heavy and fast.
Pause. I'll take Scorton. I do think, Curtis, I agree with you. I think both could happen this upcoming weekend. But with Scorton being so close and him, getting more and more playing time on that defensive line, I think he is just inches away. He's been inches away multiple times, and I think that's going to come quickly. The T-Mac touchdown has the T-Mac touchdown. I feel like has been there. Like there's been plays like it could have happened already. I think he's had multiple opportunities in the end zone, but unfortunately, it just hasn't. And that's a little bit harder to come by a touchdown. So I'll go with the Scorton sack.
All right, let's get to our other chat here. Mrs. Rains, hi guys, great day to be in Carolina for a Panthers football game. Keep pounding.
What's up, Mom? Keep pounding.
Panthers dog, howdy. Brady's in here. Let's get it. Bring on the W video. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's a good one, y'all. It'll be back here if you missed it off the top.
Anytime we got to fill up the cups, that video's coming back.
What's up, fellas? Stephen Belk. Hey, Stephen Belk, I believe. Is he the one that had a whole course meal here before?
Oh,
yeah, Stephen, man. That might be fan of the night right there. I'm telling you.
Everyone go check out Stephen Belk 33 on Twitter. He had replied to one of our initial tweet we sent out for this stream. The guy's got a damn good looking pizza, some wings in Oktoberfest. What else do you want? And you're listening to us. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Tony Salazar, we up.
What up, Tone? That's one of the best Panthers fans out there, man.
Bill Gates, Curtis looked Drain last.
And let's plug Tony for real quick for him, too. He's giving away a signed Process Blue Bryce Young jersey right now. So if you don't follow Tony on Twitter, go find Tony on Twitter. And I think it's a retweet, a comment, and a share or something like that. But he's giving away a Process Blue Bryce Young jersey autograph. So go get involved with that, man. Appreciate you doing that, Tony.
Yeah, Tony, he does that. Like, that's not the only. He's done football cards that are signed, pictures and stuff like that. So he's a great guy once you meet him, but he's also a great follow on Twitter as well. I was drained like hell. My buddy too said I sounded like shit, but we're back. We're back, and we're celebrating a win. Hayden, let's go. Appreciate you. Carter, he's a Dodgers fan. Didn't know that. Born in Southern California. Looks like we might be playing the Brewers in LCS. Not over yet. I hope you are right on that, Carter.
Don't go counting those Milwaukee chickens already, Carter. God damn it.
I do think momentum is shifting a little bit, and I hope Brewers can, stop that tomorrow night, hopefully. C3 Anthony, yo, what's up? Making true money, fellas. Appreciate you. Rockets in here as well. Been waiting on y'all's reaction to the game. Yeah, I've been waiting too.
Yeah, man. What's up, Rocket?
Pets in a bathtub. Jameson kind of night. Amen to that. That's awesome.
Just like picturing a couple of dogs and a cat hanging out in the bathtub drinking Jameson together. And it's the coolest idea I've ever had in my head. I love that. Pets in a bathtub. Good for you.
Will Robinson, what's up, fellas? Appreciate you. James Cody, cheers, guys. Doesn't that beer taste good after that fish fry Sunday?
Oh, I love that. Fish fry Sunday. Hell yeah.
I love that. There's a couple others in here. But hey, let's get into what we're drinking this evening. And Bryson, let's start with you. I know I was curious you said you had a wine, but you got anything else too?
Yeah, this is what I'm drinking for
I'm not reading that, Ricky. You know that. I'm not reading that.
This is what I'm drinking for like the champagne part of the show. It's a bubbly, sparkling white wine. It's actually not terrible now that I've gotten a little bit into it, but I can tell if I had more than like a Red Bull can size of that, then I would be having a migraine tomorrow, and I don't want that. So that's what you get for the wine part. But then for the beer part, I am drinking a beer from Heist Brewery called a Das Fest beer. It's an Oktoberfest.
Love the can.
It's pretty cool. It's a hops drinking out of a beer boot. So I'm excited to get into that one after I finish this wine.
I don't have anything but champagne because all I'm doing is celebrating. So I have the entire 750 milliliter here, but I did change up what kind of champagne I'm drinking tonight, fellas. That game to me felt a little bit like a vintage Carolina Panthers victory, right? Where the defense plays really tough. They got the cardiac cats element at the end. And then you've got the nails, Bryce Young coming in and delivering on offense when he needs to. Rookies making plays. It just felt good. And I hope that we can look back and say, hey, 2025, that's a good year, right? Like a vintage. So I have a vintage Grand Cru from de Saint Gall. This is a tasty bottle. Had it before. Decided that I would up the ante a little bit since, it's the second win of the year. Hell, by the time that this season's over, man, we keep this little winning streak type of thing up. I might be drinking Moet or something crazy over here on Panthers on Tap. Y'all might see me sitting here like pouring it in a crystal cup. Like I might get real fancy and bougie. I might bedazzle the shit out of this cowboy hat.
I love it. Ricky, I don't think I've ever asked you that. Where the hell did you get that at? Because I'm sure folks in the chat are wondering too.
Yeah, it's that FOCO company, FOCO.
Okay.
I saw it. And you know what? Actually, let me shout out T-Bone, Mac and Bone show here in Charlotte. Bone posted a picture of it and says, I don't know if I should do this or not. And immediately when I saw it, I was like, well, I know what I should do. I was like, I'm going to fucking buy that thing. I was like, and I'm going to wear it if the Panthers win, and I'm going to be a champagne cowboy. And look at us, man. It's the Paul Rudd meme happening right now.
Look at
Who
us.
would have ever thought, right? Not us. But here we are live in the flesh celebrating Carolina Panthers football wins with a cowboy hat with a shiny silver rope on it.
Yeah, I got champagne as well. Josh Prosecco here. And then I also
that ain't
got
no damn champagne. That's bubbling Prosecco from California. Oh, all right, never mind. Let me not be bougie.
And then I also got Yingling. So, yeah, let's get into it. I want to just get your guys' general reaction to this game. And then we'll kind of dive in. I got a couple of questions to ask y'all that I didn't prep y'all at all for. So,
love when you do that.
Yeah. So, Bryson, let's start with you. Overall, this entire game from start to finish, the roller coaster ride of it all, give it to us.
Yeah, I'll try to keep my thoughts in order here because there's a lot to talk about. But, we start the game and everybody knows what happens, right? We're 3 days past the game at this point. I think coming out and fumbling the ball, not being touched, just kind of like being caught off guard and dropping it was extremely frustrating. And then the next drive coming out and throwing an interception, Bryce Young doing both of those. It may have made me a little emotional in our group chat and on Twitter. But the Panthers battled back. Like this is Carolina Panthers football at this point. It's up and down. Curtis, you said it's a roller coaster, and it was. They did what we wanted them to do. What we talked about last week was run the ball, and they stuck with that. It was working tremendously, which we thought that it would against this Dolphins defense, and they did it, and it worked out. And they were able to play action off of it. They were able to do some other things and put Bryce in some advantageous situations. I didn't love the empty sets on third and short. I think in the third quarter they did it twice in a row. I understand it allows Bryce to see the field better, but it's 3rd and 2. Your running back's averaging 9 yards a carry. Just run the ball. Just keep running the ball. The Dolphins cannot stop you. So I was frustrated at that point. But man, the defense, dude. Was it 19 yards allowed rushing in the entire game versus a very good running back in Devon Achane. So the rushing defense, it's crazy how different it is with Pat Jones and Wanham out there versus DJ Johnson and whoever else beside of him. I think that those two guys, the veteran presence and Pat Jones, really making a difference throughout the game until the very end as well. I thought really showed up on the field, and I think the best player on either side of the ball was Derek Brown. He was an absolute menace all day. Just tossing dudes with one arm, throwing them 15 yards down the field, getting in the way, on run defense, and coming away with the sack in the game. I thought Derek Brown was just tremendous, man. He is just so consistent with his play on the field and being a dominating force for that defense. So I don't want to take everything and just ramble on, but yeah, at the end of the day, they come back 17 points, they win the game. Bryce has to figure out the turnover stuff to start the game. It's not like you have to do this kind of thing and then you can start going. Like, he has to be able to not generate those turnovers to put themselves in such a hole where they have to come back, because not every team's defense is as bad as the Dolphins, and you don't have a realistic shot against very many NFL teams if you go down 17-0. So I'm happy they came out with a win. I was ecstatic that they came out with a win. But at the end of the day, let's see if we can correct those turnovers, and going into the game this weekend, stay in it throughout the entire game.
I'm going to go, and then I'll let Ricky finish us off here. How about my boy Rico Dowdle? 206 yards on the ground. That guy was running with a fucking force out there, and he wanted to take Chuba's job. That's what I saw out of Rico Dowdle. That guy took the team on his back when they needed it. Bryce wasn't playing well, and he literally marched down the field and brought this team and put this team in advantageous situations, and I think built Bryce back up in this game when he was kind of at a low in this one with the two turnovers early on. So hats off to him. He had one hell of a game, and deservedly so. He's third best game as a Panthers rusher of all time, which was incredible. Right. So I just want to give him his kudos, because he killed in this game and he dominated, and he deserves all the credit, because I know a lot of folks, he might have been an afterthought. Everyone thought Chuba, he was 1,000-yard rusher last year, but that's all he did in that one season in Dallas. But hats off to him, because if it wasn't for him in this game, I don't think they get the comeback. So thought he played really well. I thought the rookies showed up. Mitchell Evans, he deserves his flowers. That guy's become a touchdown machine in the red zone for Bryce Young. Had a really clutch touchdown late. Jimmy Horn, 4th and 5, I think it was, and had that really nice catch. I mean, for Bryce Young to trust a guy like that when it's a gotta have it moment to, extend that game and keep the Panthers in it. Talk about a hell of a trust factor in Bryce to go to Jimmy on that. It was incredible. I loved every bit of it. You talked about the defense. I thought the defense held up their own. Mike Jack, I thought, took a step back in this game. We'll talk about that later. I don't want to steal everything here. But I thought Mike Jack struggled at times. And then Bryce Young kind of ending on a sour note a little bit. I know he had some hell of a throws in that game, but when you actually play really good teams, not the Dolphins, when you play the Dallas Cowboys and you play the Buffalo Bills and you play the Green Bay Packers and you play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you can't go down 2 turnovers and expect comebacks every time. It's not going to happen. That's not reality. Panthers mounted a comeback against a pretty bad team, and I loved it. And it was great for Bryce's confidence. It was great confidence for his entire team, and it could be a turning point, fingers crossed. But he has to clean that up if he wants to take another step. And that does not go unnoticed in this game just because they won. He cannot have 2 turnovers in first quarter of games almost every week or in the first half. It's not going to work in this league. So he needs to clean that up. But overall, it was great. You got to celebrate the victory when you get them, because we all know we're Panther fans. There's few and far between of when they come. So you gotta celebrate them when they come. But yeah, I thought it was great. It was a great comeback, and I'm pumped. Cheers. Let's cheers to another Panthers victory. And Ricky, you can run with the show here.
All right, so you said a couple things, but what I want to do is a little bit kind of like what Dave Canales does in the locker room after a win, right? I want to single out a couple of people. I want to single out a couple of areas. You brought up Jimmy Horn Jr., first game active, first game on the active roster, and he makes a significant impact. And it's not just because of that 4th down catch, which was phenomenal. It was the shift in motion rate and the ability to use him on those jet motions. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, one of the keys from last week, in statistically speaking, was that we wanted to see that shift in motion rate go up. I hope that it would be up at around the 55 to 60% rate is what I said. The shift motion rate for this game in week 5, Carolina Panthers used shift in motion on 54% of snaps. That was 15th most in the league in week 5. That rate coming in was 45, 25th in the league. And that opened up a world of different, what was our keyword last week? Opportunities. It opened up opportunities to do different things in the run game. The personnel that they decided to use on the offensive line. Hey, who knew Brady Christensen was a pretty good reserve player? He might even be better than Brandon Walton. He might even be better than Chandler Zavala. Who knew? Just because he's not as broad-shouldered as those two gentlemen. What he is more athletic and more technically sound. And what you saw from what they did with Brady Christensen, he was at that second level of the defense so often, guys. Like Aaron Duncan, for Unnecessary Bluntness, did a terrific film breakdown of the adjustments that Dave Canales, and that is the other person I want to shout out here, is Dave Canales. We give him a lot of grief on this podcast, and rightfully so. We could give him grief the same way we give other players grief, right? When something's not going right and you can pinpoint it to something, you should bring it up. Dave Canales did a really nice job of making adjustments and taking what the defense was giving him. The way that he executed runs to that right side, because he saw an advantage on that right side. He saw Brady Christensen's athleticism working, getting to that second level and opening up room for explosives. Phenomenal work by the coach, phenomenal work by the offensive line, phenomenal work by Rico Dowdle, and terrific impact by the rookie Jimmy Horn Jr. Let's talk one more thing. Explosive rushes that we just talked about, right? This Carolina Panthers team was 30th in the league with 6 going into that game. We highlighted that Miami was 31st in the league or 32nd in the league, giving up 21 of those things or 20 of them. In this game alone, the Carolina Panthers had 7 rushes for 10 yards or more. That is significant. They cleared their entire season total. It was exactly what we said that we wanted to see. I mean, literally, Bryson said it when he read that part of statistically speaking. He says, okay, well, they give up a lot. We don't get a lot. I want to see that change. That's exactly what he said, and it changed. So, Bryson, thank you for speaking that into existence. That was all you. Here's the other thing, man. We criticized Dave Canales about abandoning the run, right? Here's a really cool stat that I found about this game in week 5. The drop back rate for the Carolina Panthers when they were trailing by 4 or more points, meaning this is how often he was throwing when they were in obvious trailing position, right? Typically, that would be a very high rate. 57% in this game. He did not abandon the run. He stuck with it. He had really smart, I think, for the most part, situational play calls. I agree with the empty sets, Bryson, but my issue with the empty sets on those third and shorts wasn't necessarily the formation or the package. It was the personnel being used. When you have DJ Dallas lined up out wide and you're running it with 21 personnel, so you got 2 running backs in there on this, I think that's a little bit silly. I don't think you have to get that cute. I think you had other opportunities. You had other personnel that you could have done it. But you know what, man? It worked, so I'm not going to sit here and nitpick. But if we get into those situations next week, I sure hope that DJ Dallas is not out wide. Perhaps Jalen Coker being back could help that if he is back this week. But I thought that drop back rate when trailing was significant to give more kudos to Dave Canales. The last thing that I want to point out here real quick before, look, defense, let's just say this. Let's give a blanket statement to defense if I can. Phenomenal effort. 19 yards allowed on the ground against the Miami Dolphins. That Miami Dolphins team, no matter what you want to say, man, the rushing attack and the innovation that they use in their ground game, in their running scheme, it was going to cause problems for us. You mentioned Pat Jones. That was such a difference maker, man. And we talked about that on the show as well. We needed Pat Jones back. DJ Johnson was out of the picture. That helped tremendously. like honestly, he was one of my favorite players not to watch on Sunday, if we're being completely honest about this. I think that his contribution on Sunday was one of the biggest difference makers of the entire game, was that he wasn't on the field wearing processed blue. But Pat Jones, his ability to line inside, kick inside, and line up inside, allowing Nick Scorton to do some different kinds of things, right? Allowing Princely, Nick, Pat Jones, DJ Wanham all to be on the field at the same time. Those are the personnel things, man, that are just, they're invaluable. You cannot undersell how important that was to the success of this defense. Trevin Wallace switching to the green dot. Man, that's terrific. Christian Roseboom played free. I said it looked like it cleared up some bandwidth for him, but it also didn't crush Trevin Wallace with the brevity of being the comms guy and calling out the defense and having to make those decisions. He played well I think that might have been one of the best games I've seen from Trevin Wallace in the NFL. I know that people want to give him flack for getting the score of Devin Achane on the reception in the end zone. That was good coverage, guys. Sometimes guys just make better plays. That was really nice coverage for an inside linebacker on that play, I thought. But the other person I want to talk about real quick, because he's been a hot button for the fans, Xavier Legette. Good for him, man. Just honestly, good for him. A number I saw that really stood out to me. Average depth of target for Xavier Legette in this game was 19 yards. His season average coming into this, and one of the big things that I talked about this, I didn't like his usage. His season average was 10.9 yards. Catchable targets in this game, 67% of his targets were catchable. Season average, 47. Play action targets in this game, 67%. Season average, 27%. The way that they used Xavier Legette in this game, and he didn't have a whole ton of targets. He had 3, right? But the way that they used him in the situational context in which they used him, I thought made so much more sense, man. So just really shout out to everybody for the comeback. I agree with you guys 1,000% on Bryce Young cannot start games the way that he starts. That'll come up in statistically speaking. But I'm not going to sit here and act like we can't do this same kind of thing to a Dallas Cowboys team that we're going to face this week that is ultra susceptible to the same areas that Miami Dolphins team was susceptible. If you clean up the beginning of a game, you could be looking at another blowout for the Carolina Panthers. But even if they don't clean it up completely, that team's still going to let you hang around. So, look, man, I'm just really excited about it. I know that there's a lot of hot topic stuff with Bryce Young, but I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about it because I thought this was a team win.
Yeah, I do want to shout out, you talk about Canales, a guy who gets flack and has been on the hot seat since last year. Ajiro Evero, I thought, called a damn good game for this defense. You talk about the
terrific game.
The guys, the combinations. You saw a lot of different stuff there. I really would like to know who made the call with Trevin and Roseboom switch in there.
It said it was Evero.
So that was the case. I think that was huge for this defense too, because it allowed Roseboom. You hit it on the head there. I think cleared his mind a little bit, just let him play more free. So just excuse me, I just wanted to shout him out. Let's go to the super chat quick, and then I want to get to a couple of questions too. Carter says, I'm comfy with the staff. When the last time we could say that, I feel like Bryce has to make a shit play, then he can play well. T-Mac for offensive rookie of the year. Well, first, Carter, I actually have to get more champagne here.
Oh, well, hold on. If you got to get more champagne, let's go ahead and let's get you your music. I hope that gave you enough of a break to get your cup filled.
There we go. So cheers to Carter, $4.99. Appreciate you.
Cheers, Carter,
buddy.
But who wants to take a stab at that one?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Carter, I'm glad you're comfy with the staff because I am not at a point to say that I am completely comfortable with these guys. I think they have a lot to prove still to this point. Coming off a good game, on both sides of the ball, calling plays, I think overall, specifically the defense, but the offense, obviously you come away with a win. That's a pretty good day. So I think I need to see some more consistency in that before I say I'm comfortable. But I'm glad you are. That's good. I'm sure that's good for your own mental health, unlike mine. Yeah, I completely agree with them. That's what it feels like to this point. Is Bryce has to kind of be involved in something that's not great for the team, whether that be a fumble or an interception, and then he kind of locks in, and then he plays well throughout the game. So hopefully, he, like what we all mentioned, he can get past that and be able to put a consistent game together. And then T-Mac for offensive rookie of the year. I don't know that Amika a boo-boo, as Rob Gronkowski likes to call him in
Is that
Tampa
what
Bay.
Gronk calls him?
Yeah, he screwed it up. Like it was
God
funnier
damn it.
now.
Amika Boo-boo. Yeah, he's putting up some crazy numbers. So it's going to be hard for, I think, T-Mac to get there unless he just goes nuclear for the rest of the year. Amika's doing pretty well down there in Tampa.
Ricky, if we can, you can answer this, but I kind of want to go to the next super chat.
Okay.
Unless you really want to get. Go ahead. I'm not
No.
going to.
I was going to piggyback just for a second on the Bryce Young thing, right? When it feels like he has to make a shit play and then he can play well. I will say this, man, about these turnovers this week. That fumble was entirely fluky. That wasn't a case of Bryce Young being scared, in my opinion. That wasn't some sort of fear-driven turnover and a fumble. I think that he was jerky when moving to try to avoid that sack, and I think he was moving quickly. And that tip of the ball, the nose of the ball, hit his thigh, and it fumbled. I mean, I hate that. I wish that there was a tighter protection and security on the ball. That has to clean up, right? But those fluky things, they happen. It just so happens to be very amplified right now because Bryce Young has had numerous of those to start this season, where at the beginning of a game, we're in a hole because of a turnover. For the interception, though, I do want to make one point that I hope he continues to throw that ball. I want him to hit that ball going forward, but I don't want him to shy off from that throw because that throw is right. I just need him, set those feet a little bit more, step into it, fire off your front foot there, right? Like you don't have to fire back off your back foot there. If you're not standing still, lean into that and drive that throw in. But I want him to keep throwing that football because that is a good read. Here's the thing with Bryce, man, if you want to really get technical with it and nuance, the dude doesn't make a whole lot of bad reads on throws. He's making the correct read more often than not. And that to me is a whole lot more difficult to do if you're not a really smart cerebral quarterback. I think that that's more than half the battle is knowing where to go with the ball. Now it's just a matter of tightening up the consistency on these on schedule stuff. And if he does that, man, I really think we're in a great place. T-Mac offensive rookie of the year, I think Bryson nailed it. Emeka Egbuka is just crushing it. And so is Bill Krosky-Merritt down there in Washington. He's about to start getting some more opportunities too, with the injury situation over there. And I'm not counting out guys that, haven't really done a whole lot yet, but are obviously talented. Ashton Genty could start racking up some numbers here. He's got a stretch on this schedule for the next 3 or 4 games where he might put up 6 or 7 touchdowns just then. You know what I mean? I mean, there's some good rookies out there that are playing. Tyler Warren is having a nice season so far. So yeah, T-Mac's going to have to start getting in that painted grass.
I want to touch on Bryce here real quick, and then we'll get to this next super chat. Seeing him mic'd up, you never saw that guy break at all in this game.
Hell yeah.
Even despite those 2 turnovers, he just kept rolling, kept being, getting his guys pumped up on the sideline. And I love seeing that because you've seen in the past where, he's throwing his helmet or frustrated and he seems down at times. Not in this game whatsoever. I mean, it was just level. I mean, it was just straight. I mean, the entire game like that. Obviously, in the end, when he was pumped too, when his victory formation, but like he was just so even keel throughout. That's what you want out of a guy like that, especially when you have those 2 early turnovers. He never flinched and just kept rolling with it. So I thought that was really cool to see. And I'm so glad if there was any game that was mic'd up, it was this one because you got to kind of see, the struggle in that game, and he just kept with it. So I do want to shout him out there. B Pays, appreciate you. $2. Shout out to Lee and Tremaine for good blocking.
Hell yeah, B Pays. I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Cheers.
Yeah, Leggett had a really good game blocking.
And it's so important, man, because what we were just talking about, right? The changes that they made in their approach on the ground. They needed Leggett to do those things. They needed Bryson Tremaine to do those things. You're starting to see why they like Bryson Tremaine, right? He came up with a critical catch on I believe it was a 3rd down, critical catch, and then also was out there blocking. They're able to rely on that. I think that they'll feel very similarly about Jalen Coker when he comes back, to be completely honest. I think that Coker could be a similar archetype of player that can get involved in the run game, but also be a safety blanket for Bryce Young, and probably a much more efficient and elusive route runner as well than Bryson Tremaine. But I love that shout out, man. Terrific shout out, B-Pays.
And I do want to shout out one of our members who's in here, and that's Panthers Bo. He's chimed in. Hats look great. Appreciate you. Not Dave got that Scorton Purdue gold on. But hey, Panthers Bo is a member of the Panthers on Tap podcast. If you guys see that QR code, it's on the upper left corner of your screen right now. If you get your phone out, scan that, it'll take you to our YouTube channel. And on there's a button next to subscribe. It's called Joined, and you can become a member. I believe it's $3.99 to become a member. We do discounts on merch that we'll be rolling out hopefully sometime this fall. I'd really like to do that.
And you know what, Curtis, maybe we do exclusive merch drop first for members. Maybe we give an exclusive window where members get the first dibs.
So we'll be doing that. We do want to do some special feature videos as well for y'all who are just our members. And you know what? We'll do this. I got a Roaring Riot shirt to give away. So if we can get some members tonight, we'll pick someone from that drawing. If you become a member, I'll send you guys a Roaring Riot t-shirt. I have an extra one. So any new members that join tonight, we'll try to give one of those away at the end of the show. So we would appreciate you guys. Again, it's YouTube, I feel like, makes it secretive, but click that QR code or scan that QR code. It'll take you to our YouTube page, and on the homepage of our YouTube channel, right next to subscribe, there's a join button. Click that and you become a member, $3.99. We would appreciate you all for doing that. Panthers Bo, appreciate you. But Purdue still sucks. I will say that.
Curtis, can we touch on first Wes's comment here? But
yes,
I think I want to tie that into something that I noticed with this game as well. You were talking about how these the players, right, were like leaning in with each other, and Bryce had those conversations with Derek Brown. He had those conversations with JC Horn. Being mic'd up allowed us to hear some of that interaction. Wes here says that Canales has to do better. Our team comes out looking flat every single game. This nice guy coaching isn't putting any fire under these dudes. Okay, so look, I don't disagree. We've had this conversation multiple times. The personality, I'm not sure that it's my cup of tea, right? There was a particular instance in this game with the non-defensive pass interference call on T-Mac that I thought any other coach, right? Like, you're going to see them chirping, buzzing around the referee, around the official to let him know, hey, you pooched that, man. Like, that was an awful call. You know, and really, it's not going to make any difference when you sit there and you argue. But what it does, man, is it plants that worm. It plants the idea in that ref's head that, hey, I messed that up, man. I've got to be better at that, right? Like, hey, you just point at that damn big screen. You say, look at it, man. You missed that call. It's there for 50,000 people to see it, and you blew it. You say that to him, you get in his head a little bit. Maybe you get one of those patented makeup calls down the line, right? Or maybe it's just banking some karma if you believe in that kind of thing, which I do because I'm an idiot wearing a cowboy hat, drinking champagne on a podcast. I believe in all kinds of stupid things. But I don't disagree with Wes. But what I wanted to talk about with the conversations, this was a great example of what they are trying to infiltrate or facilitate with this team, of this player-led locker room, this player-led unit. These guys are holding each other accountable, and they want to do well for them, right? Not because like your mom and dad are going to be mad at you if you get a write-up at school. They just want their friends to appreciate how good of a kid they are at school, right? So, like, I like that element. I just thought that we needed winners to do it. But, hey, maybe these guys start becoming those winners, and this is what we're seeing, like, at the beginning stages of this.
Carter asked a great question that I just want to touch on. He asked about the membership and the price. It's a one-time. I'm almost 100% on that. It's a one-time purchase. Yep. It's not a monthly thing. So, just for folks who are curious, it's $3.99 one time. Bo, you got to understand, I come from the Big Ten, Wisconsin. You shouldn't expect me to like Purdue. That's just how it works. Okay.
Right.
And I will say, Purdue hasn't been much of a competition in the last couple of years. Actually, basketball, they've been decent. They've went back and forth with the Badgers in a couple of those matchups in March Madness and things. But football,
talk about the Cubs or get back to the Panthers.
But no, let's get back to this game, and I do want to touch on a question that I don't know if I want to go there yet. I'll say that one for later. But let's talk about Bryce Young here for a second. And I don't want to play what ifs, but if Carolina would have struggled in this game a little bit more and wouldn't have mounted the comeback, do you think it would have been justifiable to go out and potentially bench Bryce Young in this game? Because there was a moment in this one, it was 17-0, and there was someone asked about it, and I can't remember who asked about it after the game, but there was
David Newton. It's the only person that ever asks this shit. He asks it all the time. Canales could have said that he woke up and tried a new roast of coffee, and he'd have been like, "What do you think that has anything to do with maybe Bryce getting benched?" That's all he ever talks about, man. He's a hack. Sorry.
No,
I saw his shit again today.
And I hate to go this route, but I do want to talk about the struggles, because this game could have went an entirely different way. We might be talking about something else. And I understand it didn't, but you have to have those conversations when, if they go out in Dallas this weekend and Bryce Young struggles early on, I don't see a team where you can come back like this against Dallas. I just can't see that happening. So I think we need to have the conversation of the Bryce Young struggles early in the game. You don't have to necessarily answer that question, because I think that is kind of a bullshit question that Newton asked. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I didn't know you asked it. So maybe I shouldn't even went.
You're out here regurgitating David Newton propaganda. The nerve.
But no, let's talk about Bryce Young's, early game struggles, because you can't. It's easy to gloss over it in a victory, but when it keeps coming up game after game after game, you need to have the conversation, because when you play a good team, this isn't going to be the scenario every time. So I kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit more of his early game turnovers. And do you think you talked about the fumble where it was kind of bounced off as like kind of a freak thing, but do you think this is more on Bryce, or is this schematically what's going on in the game early on that he's struggling in these games, or where can you pinpoint the blame for a lot of these turnovers he's had early on in games?
Bryson, you want to start us off with this?
Sure. I think what we're seeing early on from Bryce Young in games, I would have a hard time putting that on schematics, the coaching staff. I think this is just where we're at right now. Like he's had some unfortunate turnovers, some his fault, some not his fault, like in regards to like tipped interceptions and things like that to start games. But I think no matter what happens, if he goes out there and throws 3 interceptions in versus Dallas and Bank of America, or he has to play the whole year. He has to. There's no point in going to Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's not going to lead you to the playoffs, right? Like, this is year 3, Bryce Young. He has to be on the field no matter what. And if it gets to a point, I don't think it is, but if it gets to a point where it's just so ugly and unwatchable, then that's what it is. Like, he has to be on the field. And I think a benching is completely out of the question at this point in Bryce's career. We need an answer at the end of the year. And you're not going to get that if he's benched. So I think if we get to the end of the year, Bryce has played 17 games, and obviously we'll know at that point, has he improved throughout the season and gotten rid of some of these turnovers in early game and kept the Panthers in games and won games, or has he struggled and continued to struggle game in and game out? I think at that point, then, you look at your options going into next season, whether that's bringing in a veteran or drafting a quarterback or whatever. But I think at this point, no, there's no reason to bench Bryce Young. I mean, there's really not, because your backup doesn't give you a better chance. You're not, like I say, you're not going to the playoffs with Andy Dalton. I think you just have to leave Bryce on the field.
I mean, the last time we saw Andy Dalton playing Carolina Panthers football, he was getting sacked by the 15-yard line. Not at the 15-yard line, by the 15-yard line. The turf was taking him down. And taking him down in this, comical way, man. He looked like Peter Griffin in a Family Guy episode, like just flailing around until his legs are pointed different directions. Then we see him overthrow, and we see him throwing hospital balls to Hunter Renfrow like they have some sort of personal beef going on in the locker room. Like every single chance he got, he was like, hey, I'm going to make you go back to Uber Eats, right? Like that was the way he was treating him. It was crazy. He does nothing for this offense. You get no answers about any of these players with Andy Dalton. You get no answers about Dave Canales with Andy Dalton. You get no answers about anybody with this Carolina Panthers organization with Andy Dalton. You play Bryce Young the entire season, and you tell him the old saying that I can't stand when older generations say this to us, right? But you pull yourself up by the bootstraps if shit gets bad. Like, that's your option, man. We're not going to sit here, and everyone wants to say, well, they got to build this offense around Bryce. They got to give him this superstar offense. No, man, they don't coddle him, and they shouldn't coddle him in this situation. You play bad, you go out there and fix it, kid. Like, you were the first overall pick. You're on your third year of your contract. We got at least 4 of them. We might even be able to extend you for 5. You're under this control of this organization right now, and we got a whole lot of eggs in your basket. Dan Morgan's got them. Dave Canales has them. Right? Hell, Xavier Legette and Tedero McMillan have them in that basket because this is a guy that's throwing to them in their early years of development. But when it is on point, guys, it is legitimate, and it is better than any option in that locker room to throw the football. Hendon Hooker, don't get me started on that. Yeah, we don't know anything about Hendon Hooker other than the fact that Detroit let him go, right? And DJ Holman, I'm with you. I would rather see Hooker than Dalton, but I don't want to see either of them. I don't think either of them give you an opportunity. The only way that I want to see anybody other than Bryce Young is if Bryce Young is injured and he cannot play. That is the only thing for me. As far as his performance, look, guys, he can't continue to do the early stuff. But DJ Holman had another comment up here earlier that I wanted to bring up because I thought that this was really on point right here. He needs to clean it up, but we have to remember that all quarterbacks have turnovers from time to time. He needs to do better, though. Bingo. I mean, like, hit the nail on the head for that for me, because like I said earlier, if he didn't have the 2 games this year already, and we're talking about 2 out of 5, right? If he didn't have the 2 games this year earlier with the first round or the first quarter, first half turnover extravaganza, which put us in the biggest holes you could imagine, it cost us games. I mean, it cost us games, man. It is what it is. And you ask, who does that go on? Is it schematics? Is it coaching? Is it situation? Or is it Bryce? No, it falls on the shoulders of the person that makes the mistake, man. Like, it has to. That's where accountability stems from. But there is context around some of it, right? Like, we know that the fumble against Arizona, the defender got through that line in, 0.7 seconds, right? Like, that's difficult, man. And a lot of this stuff, when we see Bryce make these fumbles, do you see where they are? Or even when he got sacked, right? When he fell to the ground against New England, it's because Milton Williams had a clear run at him. And he was trying his damnedest to make a spin move and move his body in a way to keep momentum going and run out of trouble. Maybe sometimes he just needs to do what you see other guys do. I'm not saying Kyler Murray. I don't want him to sit, down like crisscross applesauce on the turf and admit that he can't do anything. Like, I do want to see him protect himself, but maybe he needs to take a sack every now and then and live to fight another down instead of always trying to extend plays. But you're also asking somebody to take the magic out of their magic, because that's what Bryce Young does so damn well. So maybe it's a give and take. You live with some of this, you die by some of this, but I think that he could play with a little bit more discipline. I think that he can kind of shore it up a little bit and know that, hey man, you do it in the first quarter, you put the defense in a bad way. If they score, you put your offense in a bad way, because then all of a sudden your play caller, your receivers, everybody has to do different than what the on-schedule play would have been. So, yeah, I think that Bryce has to clean it up, but I think that this is a pretty regular amount of turnovers. It just so happens to be in those first halves, which look really, really bad, because they are.
And Ricky, you make a really good point that I wasn't necessarily thinking about, but I at times I'm telling myself, I'm talking to other people, I'm like, okay, Bryce needs to learn how to just take a sack. But if we get to a point in time or a situation where, he's thinking about, okay, I should just take a sack, then we don't get that 4th down conversion where it's goes to T-Mac, right? Where he's just last second.
Exactly.
Like one of the best throws I've seen him make, right?
Yep.
Took a hit, anticipation, the quarterback school, lost his mind on that throw. It was so good. So it's like, would I rather him fumble every now and then to continue to get plays like that, or would I rather him take a sack and not fumble? You're playing with I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
And
he just can't make those plays though, Bryson, right? He can't make those plays at the 10 or the 15-yard line of the opponent's territory, or of Carolina's territory.
Mhm.
He has to make those, like that fourth down play that you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a really smart decision to try to extend that, because that would have been a turnover on downs and it would have been the end of it. You do what you got to do there. You're at like the 35, 40-yard line anyways, right?
Yeah.
But when you're at the 10 or the 15 in your territory on first or second down, you don't do it. Like don't run 6 yards back, because then you're already 4 yards deep on a drop, right? You run 6 yards back and you're at the 13-yard line. Guess where you are now? You're at the 3. And that's what happens a lot when we see this. It's easy scoring opportunities. Now, if you put your defense in a way that they only have to defend 60 yards because you make the mistake down on the other side of the field, okay, I can live with that, I think. That's where I want you to take those chances, right? But early in a game on early downs, man, we got to have situational awareness. That does go back to coaching, right? That needs to be a coaching point, like hammered into Bryce. But Bryce has played enough football, man. I'm not giving him excuses. This isn't a high school kid that's learning the position. This is a number 1 recruit at the position. This was a Heisman Trophy winner at the position. And this was the first overall pick at the position. I expect better play out of him, and I think we'll get it.
Yeah, and I don't want it, you guys, you guys were laughing at the question initially, but this is a question our fan base has like every fucking week. We're talking about a fan base that on Sunday, and I didn't even listen to this space because I was at the game, but on Sunday at halftime, they were talking about cleaning house. So like these conversations time and time again come up about Bryce Young, and he's so polarizing as a player the way it is, just based off of the measurables. I mean, just starting there and then what Carolina gave up. So I wanted to ask that question. I'm glad I did, because it was a good conversation. I agree with y'all. Let this thing ride out the entire season. You need to see what you got in Bryce Young. It doesn't help us to see 40-year-old Andy Dalton going out there, throwing the ball in the dirt, getting his ass sacked because he's slow, and throwing medicine balls to all these guys, especially T-Mac when he's on his way to be a, for sure, number 1 top 15 wide receiver in this league. But yeah, let it ride it out. But I had to ask.
Y'all see this chat right now, by the way?
Oh,
talking about the attractiveness on the screen. You got Alex and Panther Bo in here right now.
Alex, come on.
Yeah, look at these guys. Hey, I appreciate you, fellas.
You're getting Ricky to blush over here.
Y'all sure do know. I think that's the champagne. That's the champagne. But y'all sure do know how to make a lady feel welcome around these parts.
Let's talk about our conversation here now with the running back room. You have Chuba Hubbard coming back from injury. Yeah, Rico Dowdle, top 3 record in rushing yards in a game. What do you do in this situation? It sounds like Chuba is still taking a bit, so it still might be Rico's ball this weekend. But when that happens, what are you doing with this running back room? Who are you giving the rock to? Are you giving it to the hot hand, or are you kind of splitting it like Dave Canales seems like he wants to do?
Yeah, I'll jump in here first. I think, in my opinion, it is a true 50-50 split. And I think Rico has earned that just off of last game. You have, I mean, a Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. Like you just split the carries. It's a split backfield. It's not good for fantasy purposes, right? Like I have Chuba in 2 fantasy football leagues. That sucks for me. But I think at this point, they do Panther Bill. They do. I think Rico has that breakaway capability that Chuba doesn't necessarily have consistently. I think we've seen it from him before, but not on that consistent basis. But I also think that Chuba is a really good like runner through contact and short yardage stuff. Like he's you want 2 yards, Chuba Hubbard is going to do everything within his power to get you 2 yards. Like he brings an aspect that you want on the field too. Not to mention his leadership, his improved catching ability out of the backfield. I think Rico Dowdle's a good catching running back as well. But I think they're both just really good players, and you got to find a way to get them both on the field. And I think they both have earned that. So in my opinion, I would just go a true 50-50 split and keep involved in both.
I want to see something else here, Ricky.
No, I'm going to tell you. I don't think that it's fair to necessarily judge what Chuba Hubbard was able to do for the first 3 games of this season, because I think that defenses when defensive coordinators took a look at our running game, right? We didn't have much variety in that last year, guys, but it was a new scheme for that team last year. So there wasn't tape on it. But they had tape on us coming into the season, and we didn't use as much variety at the beginning of the season. This game on Sunday was the first time that they used the amount of different formations, schemes, pre-snap eye candy, different run types, inside, outside zone, gap, man, powers. I mean, they ran all different kinds of things that I have not seen them do before. And I think that's what made it so effective. So when you talk about look, Rico looked great. This is not in any way taking anything from Rico. Rico has earned every single touch that he gets. If they want to give Rico 70% of the touches, I can't fault them because Rico went out there and went for 200. That's the bottom line of this conversation. What are you actually arguing against if you're saying that Rico hasn't earned touches? Rico did nothing but answer a bell. And not only did he answer the bell, when he came out for the next round, he beat the shit out of his opponent. I mean, he went out there and he just delivered combos, running through arm tackles, hitting the hole with conviction, making the right read on inside zones, hitting that cutback and taking off. But that's also stuff I've seen from Chuba Hubbard. And that's why I'm not here to sit here and say that Chuba is not as good as Rico. I don't believe that. I believe that they're both fantastic running backs. I think that we're both lucky to have them. You know, we had our running bit last year, Curtis, about Rico Dowdle, top 75 running back in the NFL. Rico Dowdle, top 150 running back in the NFL. But let's be honest about something real quick, right? And Curtis, I give you flowers on this one, man. Last week, Rico Dowdle, top 1 running back in the NFL. For 1 week at least. I ain't saying that that's going to carry over for the rest of the season or nothing. But for 1 week, Rico Dowdle was top 1 running back in the NFL. He had the best week of anybody in the NFL. And he deserves his props for that. But when Chuba Hubbard comes back, it ain't going to hurt Rico Dowdle to have Chuba Hubbard running with him. Dave Newton, the guy that we were talking about earlier. Curtis, you're really just an echo chamber right now for Dave Newton, just to let you know. Because earlier today, he also asked Canales so what are you going to do when Chuba's replacement came in and won NFC Player of the Week? What are you going to what are you going to do there? You got to, really insinuating that this guy is
I don't hate that question though. The Bryce one's annoying. Question.
He didn't take
the Bryce one is annoying, but this is a decent question.
Annoying. He wasn't Chuba's replacement. First of all, he's his teammate. And Chuba was injured and couldn't go. So what did Rico Dowdle do? He didn't go there to try to win the job, in my opinion. He went out there to do his job. He went out there to run the damn football and try to win for his football team while his running mate wasn't healthy enough. You guys watched the first 3 games with Rico, right? Did y'all think that Rico was a top 2 running back in the NFL in the first 3 games of this season?
No, he didn't get it a good
He did. He touched the ball a decent amount.
Nah.
He touched the ball a good amount. He touched the ball
not enough to string it together, man.
It was like a 60 to 40 split.
It was rotational.
What I'm telling you,
it was rotational.
No, it was game situational, and it was the fact that they were still running the same tired shit that they ran all last season to start this season. And when they switch it up and they have a decent opponent, a great matchup. We talked about it all damn week. It was a great matchup. He took advantage, exactly what a good player should do. I absolutely love it, man. I'm stoked for Rico that he did it. But Rico Dowdle did not look like this for the first 3 games. The Panthers running game did not look like this for the first 3 games. They didn't do the same things. They weren't in the same game flow. It is just what it is, man. It's okay to say that both of them are terrific, but to also say that Rico wasn't running for 9 yards. Are you going
to answer the question or not? Are you going by committee? Are you going not?
I'm running both of them, man. Hell yeah, any of it. I don't give a shit. Whatever feels good to you.
You Bryce are 50-50. All right. I'm riding out hand. I mean, until you prove me otherwise, ride out hand. And that's not to say don't throw Chuba in there. Do it like you did with Dowdle. It was like, oh, Dowdle gets a run. Then Hubbard's back in. That's how Dave Canales runs shit. And I'm not a big fan of that, to be really honest with you. And this past week, you saw Dowdle 80% of the time, and then DJ Dallas in there the other 20. But ride that hand. If it ain't broke, I'm not gonna try it. I always fuck it up. You know what I'm trying to get at.
You almost had it, dude. You were close.
But you get what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna ride that shit all the way until it doesn't work no more. And I'm not saying get away from Hubbard. Give him still his opportunities. But if if Rico is running the way he did this past week, man, keep going with that.
No
Like,
doubt.
don't try to shy away from that. I get it. I know they paid Hubbard. Rico's on a prove-it deal right now. He's trying to prove to the league that he came here cheap on a cheap deal because Dallas won't give him enough money. He said, well, fuck you. I'm going to go to Carolina and prove myself. And I hope he does that this weekend when he said they need to buckle up. There was some exchange with Schottenheimer and him. So, but yeah, just go. Oh man, Panther Bro, you're funny. I can't. I don't know why I screw that up. Every single time I try to say that line, it's always fucked up. So
that might be my next tattoo, Panther Bro. If it ain't broke, don't ask Curtis. I love that. Right there across the neckline.
But yeah, right out hand, man. I'm all for that. There was one more question I'm trying to. Let's have the conversation because it came up on Twitter today, and it kind of diverts a little bit from the game this past weekend. But Jared went out on a limb. If you guys don't, Jared, his last name is escaping me. Feinberg, thank you. He had talked about the guy we discussed earlier, Emeka Egbuka, and T-Mac. And this whole conversation of both those, both of them are playing really well. Emeka Egbuka's had an outstanding year. He's also been fed the ball a ton. Baker has been force feeding him this entire year with both Mike Evans out, Chris Godwin early on in the year. But this conversation of who would you rather have at 8? So I got to ask, and I'll start with Bryson because he was the T-Mac guy, and I'm sure I know the answer to this. But let's have the conversation. T-Mac versus Egbuka. Where are you at right now with those two? We got to talk about it because it came up on Twitter today. It kind of blew up a little bit. Jared got some heat. I was disappointed. I don't know if Jared's listening, but he should have kept the tweet up.
Yeah, he didn't say nothing wrong, man. Jared, first of all, he didn't say anything wrong at all, man.
Write the tweet out. Don't. Sometimes
but people.
Hold on.
Crazy,
sometimes
man.
the best tweets. You send it and you don't reply to anyone. You just let it ride. Just let it ride into the sunset.
I did that today with a Falcons tweet. But
exactly. But Bryson, where are you at with those two? Let's have the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, look, Baker Mayfield is playing at an ungodly level right now. He is arguably in the conversation for MVP of the NFL. The level of quarterback play that he's playing in Tampa right now. I think if T-Mac is in that offense, he's putting up similar numbers to what Egbubu is there. I think T-Mac is a high caliber wide receiver. I've said it 100 times on this podcast. I think he's a true number one, and that's not taking away anything from Emeka down there in Tampa. I think they're both good players, and I think right now I'm still think I would prefer T-Mac. His style of wide receiver play is something I favor over Emeka. So I think they're both good players. You really couldn't go wrong, I think, taking either of them. But I think eventually, throughout their careers, T-Mac is going to have a superior career. In my opinion, if the quarterback play is there, if they're playing with similar caliber quarterback play, T-Mac's putting up better numbers. And that's just my opinion. I'm heavily biased, of course, with my love for him, and then also him being a Carolina Panther. But I'm not disappointed in anything that he's done on the field. I think he's been fantastic. I think the quarterback play has been hot and cold, and also he hasn't had a lot of help out there in the field early on in his career. He's been the sole wide receiver on the field at times. That's a legitimate threat, and he's getting the Calvin Johnson treatment at times, with a corner and a safety lined up behind each other against him. So I think when you take into the conversation both of their situations, Emeka's and T-Mac's, I think it's not Emeka's playing so much better and he's just a better player. It's okay. They're in two totally different situations. They're both really good players, but in my opinion, I'm still taking T-Mac.
Do you want to know what I think it is overall? I think we've seen 5 football games in the NFL from both of them. I also think that when people say, all right, so look, I'm not doing this in a way to diminish Tyrell McMillan and also not to say that Emeka Egbuka is better, undoubtedly, right? Because nobody can know any of that right now. But when we talk about targets and force feeding, they're both getting a ton of targets. Like Tyrell McMillan is playing in games where Xavier Legette was out and Jalen Coker was out. They had 3 healthy wide receivers for a football game that Tyrell McMillan played in. Tyrell McMillan has been wide receiver 1 since he walked in the door for the Carolina Panthers. And Bryce Young has treated him as such, right? He's had no less than 7 targets a game every single game. He's getting peppered with targets. Now, he's got some drops that would have led to chunk gains that would look different, right? Maybe even some that would have led to scores. But I just think that this whole conversation is a little bit silly from the standpoint of who would I want right now? I want the guy that's on my team because he's my player that I cheer for, right? Like I'm a fan of this guy. Now, don't get me wrong. You could be fans of individual players. Jared is a terrific draft analyst, first of all. Like I just want to give a little bit of like context or precursor for Jared's sake here. He's a terrific draft analyst, and he had Emeka Egbuka as his number 1 wide receiver. And so when he sees Emeka Egbuka playing terrifically, and I'll give Alex from Kitty Lit Zero here a little bit of love too. He says, I mean, it's T-Mac, but some people said there wasn't a big gap pre-draft because Alex was extremely high on Emeka Egbuka pre-draft as well. When some people are just celebrating that a person that they liked a lot is showing up, it's validation, sure, for the person that liked them, but it's also happiness for the player because you like them. You are a fan of their game. So I think that's part of this. I would take T-Mac in a heartbeat because I think it's really difficult to find guys with his build, his skill set, some of the intangibles that he brings with his size and everything else like that. But Emeka Egbuka, I don't think is a gimmick. I don't think that he's just doing this because of everything else that's happening. Like, I think that this is a supremely talented football player. There was a lot of people that said that JSN plays for the Seahawks, said that he was only ever going to be this complimentary, secondary player as a slot player coming out of Ohio State. He's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL right now. And Emeka Egbuka had a lot of that similar conversations. His biggest draft comp from all major analysts was JSN out of Ohio State. And so, I think that when we do this, I think that we just have to be a little bit careful with trying to make some sort of 5 games in, I can tell you who's a better player. Hell no, man. Let these guys keep playing. Their situations are different. Their careers are going to take off in different ways. I hope that it's like a horse race. I hope that they're coming around the stretch and they're neck to neck with each other. I hope that they both play well. And then I hope that T-Mac pulls it in and he gets the inside track and he wins the race.
No, I mean, I just had to have a conversation because it came up on Twitter today. Right now, I think for Bryce Young, McMillan fits the mold for Bryce Young. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know how Carolina would use Egbuka, and that's the biggest question mark for me. I think both players are really talented. I think Ricky nailed it. It's too damn early. It's 5 games in. I don't have these conversations. I just thought it was an interesting conversation that came up on Twitter, and I was like, fuck it, let's talk about it. I just wanted to get your guys' take on it because I know it's kind of a polarizing issue, and I know there's folks on one side who really liked Egbuka coming out, and I know there's folks like Bryson who really like McMillan coming out. And I don't think either are wrong in this situation, and it's just so early on. And both players have really bright futures, and that's okay. We need to be okay with that sometimes. Both of these guys are going to be, it seems like they're going to have great careers. So let's all chill a little bit. I do want to shout out Stephen Bell. The guy put out a buffet to listen to our podcast tonight. We appreciate you, Stephen Bell. He becomes a YouTube member.
Hell
guys,
yeah,
it's
Steven.
Just that easy. We
Let's
have
go.
one entry. We have one entry right now. Cheers to you, Steven. Appreciate you. We have one entry right now for a free t-shirt. It's going to happen. We'll give it away before the end of the episode. I'll have Ricky figure out that wheel he's got going. I didn't even ask him to do that, but he'll figure it out.
You didn't. I didn't even know that was a thing that was happening right now.
I'll take care of the wheel, guys. I'll take care of the wheel.
I was just over here enjoying my bubbles and reading
Steven
the chat
is
about
our
the
5th member
sexy
into the tap room. And we'll keep growing this thing. But yes, we'll be giving away a free Roaring Riot t-shirt by the end of the night.
And
So
that
take
QR
advantage.
code up there, that's your ticket to the raffle. That's your ticket to join a membership, sign up, get a membership. We'll get the notification. Once you get it, you're entered in.
One other conversation I kind of want to have, well, actually one comment and then a question for y'all. And first off, special teams. We well, what am I trying to say here? We criticized them so much last week, and I thought they had a bounce back week this week. So I wanted to give them credit because I feel like sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. I thought Fitzgerald kind of had a bounce back in this game. I thought the punt team at times did well. So I want because I think there was one return where it was like, okay, like it got me nervous.
Yeah, they were solid. But you know what's funny, Curtis, is you said they had a bounce back. They could have allowed like 80 yards on every return, but no touchdowns, and it technically would have been a bounce back, right?
True.
So like it's not difficult to bounce back from what they. But you're right. I was making a joke. I wasn't trying to say that that's like the context we should read that in. You were right, Curtis. They played much more solid football this week than they did.
And there was a lot of guys like they signed to the active roster to kind of help with that. DJ Dallas played had a massive role. Like I was shocked at how big of a role he played in this past game. And I know Dave Canales has a lot of trust in him. But there were a lot of times I'm like, man, why is this guy out here on third down? Like, what are we doing? So, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I want to go to the end of the game. And I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the last play before the kneel down. So you have a third down, and Dave Canales decides to throw it. Okay, and I believe the pass was thrown to Hunter Renfrow. They got bailed out by a penalty, a pass interference call, or may have been a holding. I can't remember, a defensive holding. What were you guys' thoughts on the decision making for that play call? And what would have you done in that situation? So we're doing a lot of hypotheticals tonight, switching it up a little bit, something that I don't like to do very often. But Ricky, let's start with you.
You really are on your David Newton thing tonight.
Ricky, let's start with you and then go to Brett. Don't put me to that guy's level ever.
I have to.
Ever.
I have to.
Ever. Because it's not even close to that. But let's talk about the decision making, because that was a situation where those are a lot of times where the commentators are having that conversation of should they punt here? And you could even go to the flip side with Mike McDaniels, where he punted with like a minute and a half left. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
That was a whole nother thing. Like when I'm at the game, I'm like, I can't believe they're punting. They're down.
That was the 4th and 17, right?
I get it, and I know you have
that's tough.
But like that's crazy.
They couldn't pick up 1st and 4 all damn day. Like he didn't have much faith.
But anyway, let's talk about that end of the game, because that could have been a interesting call if the penalty wasn't thrown, and it might not have been thrown because Carolina doesn't get those a lot. So.
It could have, yeah. But you know what I saw there? Again, we talked about, you know, those third and shorts, third and mediums, whatever, where he goes empty. And Bryson hit the nail on the head of why I think that they went with the decision that they went with here at the end of this game is just a supreme trust, I think, in Bryce Young. We heard the soundbite, right? And we talked about this in last week's show where he said, hey, it's just kind of like my DNA. It's just the way that I am, that I want to run on these certain calls, and I want to do different things on others. I think what we saw here was that, hey, player-led team, who was leading the charge on that sideline for that football game after making critical mistakes, but then playing really damn good football to get them back in it with the defense playing really good? I think that he trusted that Bryce Young wasn't going to wreck that game. I think that he trusted that Bryce Young was going to make the right decision. And you know what? It was the right decision to throw that football. It was the right decision, man. Like, I don't want to have to do the hypotheticals, and we don't actually even have to, guys, because it worked out the way that we all want it to work out. They won the football game. It was the right decision. And I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, I'm not going to literally rest my hat on it because I want to keep my hat on. I'm getting all these great comments in the chat, but I will rest my hat right there on that laurel that Dave Canales did what he wanted to do. He did what he had conviction to do, and Bryce Young executed it and absolutely played the right way on that play.
Bryson?
Yeah, Ricky kind of took the words out of my mouth. You know, I think a couple weeks ago, it might have been last week, that I was questioning Dave Canales' trust in Bryce Young, you know, taking those deep shots and just like putting Bryce in a situation to win the game. And in this game in particular, not only, you know, on that crucial down that we're talking about right now, but the scoring drive, the last play, it was a pass, you know, to Mitchell Evans for a touchdown. You know, he put the ball in Bryce's hands and said, go get it. And he did. And then, you know, to the play that we're talking about now, you know, that third down, it could have been a run. You know, I probably, if I was in that situation, it might have been what I would have called. I'm going to be completely honest. I probably would have called a run, made him use that last time out. You're running for, you know, 50 yards a clip, it feels like at this point. Just ice the game with the run. But, you know, it ended up working out. So I'm not mad. If it didn't work out, I sure as hell would have been mad. I'm going to be completely honest. But thankful for me, you know, it did. And thankful for Dave Canales, it did. So yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that Dave Canales trusts Bryce Young in these situations. Bryce Young is a cold-blooded killer. I think he has.
You reminded me of a question I'm going to ask y'all in a little bit.
I think he has shown that throughout his career. You know, not only has he shown that what we talked about earlier with the first quarter turnovers or first half turnovers, but he's also shown when his team's in the game in the fourth quarter and there's a drive left on the field. We heard the mic'd up, like, let's they're not getting the ball back, essentially, is what he said with 4 minutes left on the clock. They did because they scored. The Panthers scored, but you know, I think Bryce has this like innate ability when everything's on the line, like you have to get it. He gets it a lot of the time. Like, unfortunately, it didn't happen versus Arizona in that final drive that we had after the onside kick, but I think we've seen it time and time again in Carolina that when Bryce Young's in these situations, it's when he plays his best. His best, you know, the pass to Tedero McMillan that we talked about, the pass to Jimmy Horn that we talked about, like these crucial downs where it's you need it or the game's over, essentially. And Bryce Young has shown that he can do it. And so I think Dave Canales does trust him in those situations. That's why he called that play. That's what it was a clear and obvious penalty. I'm glad that they threw the flag, but you know, earlier on in this game, it was a clear and obvious penalty against Tedero McMillan. They threw the flag and they picked it up. So I agree with you, Curtis. I think for Carolina, you know, it's not guaranteed that you get these flags, even if it is clear and obvious, which is sad. But yeah, I think you know, Canales trusts Bryce Young. The play worked, so I'm not upset.
So I want to go to our members because we got a couple more members here. Joe Coe is a new member, so we'll cheers to you on that one. Appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you.
And then Hayden.
Joko's in here a lot too. Joko is always involved and stuff, so I appreciate you joining, man.
Hayden Nugent.
Win. That's Win. Nugent.
Win.
Nugent. Hey, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Hey.
I'm making my best Gronk impression.
It's Curtis Newton right here. That's what
Big
we're
boo boo.
calling you.
Hayden Boo Boo.
Appreciate you, Hayden. And you know what? I think it's time because
I'm gonna have to pour more champagne. By the way,
yeah, it's time for that.
All right,
let's do it.
You got it, or you want me to?
Hold on, not yet. I do want to let folks know.
I was trying to pour my champagne, you son of a.
I will. Hold on. The QR code. How you become a member? QR code. It's on the top upper left corner of your screen. That'll take you to our YouTube channel. Go next to the subscribe button. There's a little join. Hit the join, and you can become a member. $3.99. We're giving away a free T-shirt at the end of this episode. We have 4 entries so far, so you have 3 entries so far. You have a pretty good shot of winning a free T-shirt from the Roaring Riot. So take advantage of that, and then we'll hit this.
And if you're new to the show and you haven't seen this segment yet, and you're wondering why the hell this idiot is wearing a Panthers cowboy hat, let me remind you that when the Carolina Panthers win, we do this. It don't ever get old, and it goes so well with an ice cold glass of champagne.
Bryson touched on it, but we gotta talk about Bryce Young's clutch gene for a minute because he's had some great comeback victories for Carolina. Some fourth quarter games come down to the wire and him win, and it begs the question: is he the most clutch QB to ever put on a Panthers uniform? And I know it's early, but he has.
Holy shit,
The
Curtis.
fuck did you say?
Hey, I want to say he's only had 8 victories, but 7 of them, I believe, have come either in a comeback fashion or like come from behind victories. And I'm trying to find the stat. I'm struggling to find it because I saw someone tweet it out earlier this week, and I think it was like 7 out of 8 of his games is come like Bryce Young come from behind. And maybe someone can find that for me because I'm struggling. But I saw it this week on Twitter. But let's talk about him and being clutch because he has had some like game on the line, ball in his hands. He's come down and won the game for the Panthers. So let's talk about it for a second here.
Then you start. Don't you pass this off to anyone. You start with what you think about what you just said, mister.
Yeah, I will. I don't think he's there yet. It's not enough data to go off of for me personally. But I will say this. I do have a lot of trust in Bryce Young with the ball in his hands last. I do. There have been time and time again when Carolina has in the fourth quarter, they're down a touchdown. The only one you that I think of that he has failed on is the Arizona game this year and the Green Bay game a couple years ago, where I felt like in the Green Bay game in his rookie year, I think he just ran out of time. Like if there was more time on the clock, he might have pulled that game off. The Arizona one, that was just complete collapse, I think, on not only Bryce Young. I thought Dave Canales called some really bad plays in that end of that game in Arizona this year. But like there are several moments in the fourth quarter where Bryce Young has shown up and drove the team down the field to win the game. There was a couple last year where it came on some field goals late in the game that they had won. And then you have the one this past week against Miami. But there has been time and time again where Bryce Young has come back in games. So I personally, I don't think he's there yet. Cam Newton got to have it. I'm putting the ball in number one's hands. That's kind of where I'm at. But I do think Bryce Young has proven like when the game is on the line, more often than not, like 65% of the time, like he is going to go down there and punch it in. I think he's proven that so far. Now, again, it's a very small sample size, but thought we'd have the conversation because that was another tweet I saw earlier this week where he has had a lot of clutch moments so far in his 3-year career.
Yeah, I found the stat you were talking about, Curtis. So since Bryce Young's been in the league since 2023, out of 106 qualifying quarterbacks, he is ranked 9th in the league with the most game-winning drives since 2023.
Thank you. That's what it was.
7. So I mean, yeah, that's an impressive stat for sure. I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but he's cold-blooded, man. Like when the game's on the line and he has to make a play, it's like he flips a switch, dude. He's like a different player than what we see in the first quarter or the first half of games. Like he's going to get the job done, and I think he's shown that. I really hesitate to say he's the best in Carolina Panthers history at this point in his career.
Would you rank him above Jake Delhomme?
Clutch stuff. Are you talking about like just in like come from behind game win opportunities?
Clutch, game on the line. You got to have it, got to win it. Is that him?
Did everyone really trust Jake Delhomme that much? Does everyone really?
The chat mentioned Jake Delhomme. I don't know.
My mother is going to lose her mind if I say anything negative about Jake Delhomme because she's the biggest Jake Delhomme fan you'll ever meet in your entire life. She went to Quiznos to get an autograph from Jake Delhomme, if that tells you how much she loves Jake Delhomme. But Bryson, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I won't forget that Chargers game. I got a picture of that damn thing.
But Bryson, I saw that both of you and I were kind of sitting here just like mouth ajar trying to figure out what like exactly you wanted to say here.
Yeah.
Bryce Young, man, like he is clutch. Without a doubt, there is no way to argue that. And we've talked about that on the show so many times, right?
Yeah.
Like, just get us to that moment where Bryce has an opportunity. Because if he does, I feel better about that than anything else I feel about on this damn team, to be completely honest. Like, I trust in that completely. But also what we're seeing is we're seeing Bryce Young do this when we're 2-14 or when we're 1-9 or when we're 1-3. And like, so all I'm saying, and I believe he can, but we haven't seen him do it when it matters at all.
Bigger games, yeah.
Bigger games, man.
Yep.
And sometimes when I think clutch, I'm thinking like your season ends, right? Like win or go home type situation, or like playoffs are on the line. It's Monday Night Football. The lights are bright. Cam Newton in Seattle, right? With the drive.
Yeah.
I mean, there are just instances. Yeah, right, man. Like maybe there are times that like we could sit here and say Bryce has a really nice, like large quantity of these statistical things or coat hangers to hang his coat on, right? But when it matters, we have seen other guys do things really special.
They're not there yet. Like it has.
I just think you got to wait. Yeah, I think you got to wait. But I think it's interesting that
by looking at me like I'm like. Look at the stat Bryson mentioned. Like,
no, you're right.
In the league. That's impressive.
It's a really interesting juxtaposition for people that hate Bryce Young. If you make that question, because it's like, hey, if you hate Bryce, what if he is our best closer of all time, and you guys just haven't given him the opportunity to close football games? You know what I'm saying? But also, he's also been sitting there, you know, cheddar bobbing himself, shooting himself with the handgun. So like. Get out of your own way, Cheddar Bob. Like, don't do it, right? But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I do think that Bryce Young is a very clutch player, and I can't wait to see him make clutch plays when the playoffs are on the line.
Man, y'all are just hating on me tonight. But let's go to super chat here. And this was Thick Nasty, one of our members.
What's up,
appreciate you.
Legend.
$1.99. I'm late as fuck, but what's up, fellas? Bryce is the truth. Thank you.
Hey, man, we're just happy you're here, bro. Late, early, whatever the timing is. Happy to have you, man.
By the way, y'all, we have 800 people tuned in right now, which is incredible. We have
this is what Panthers winning does.
Winner go home MLB playoff game on right now between Toronto and New York, and we got 800 people tuned into this show right now, so we appreciate you.
The meaningful baseball game already happened, and the result was exactly as God intended. She had the Cubs win.
And there is no such thing as a meaningful baseball game. I'll leave that there.
Oh, come on. I set a couch on fire when the Cubs won a World Series. That was fucking meaningful.
Until Raleigh gets a team, I'm out on baseball.
All right, let's get into the game. Unless you guys want to talk about anything else in this game that we missed.
I'm ready to talk some Cowboys football.
Right, let's do it.
Let's talk Dallas, Carolina.
Okay.
Tickets are through the roof right now. They're ranging from like 150. I've seen something in the 600s for this game in the lower bowl. Like people are trying to sell these things to Dallas fans and make a ton of money to pay off their yearly PSLs. So a lot of money for this game, obviously. Dallas is going to fill that stadium whether we like it or not. That's the reality of it. Honestly, Miami, I was at the game this last weekend. Miami showed up more than Atlanta did. I mean, there was a ton of Miami Dolphins fans at this game. I was shocked.
Does it ever shock you, though, that Cowboys fans are able to come in here and pay these like ridiculous prices, but then they all wear their Walmart Nikes and Wranglers into the stadium? Like, does that ever just throw you for a wrench? Like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. I'm like, I've seen that on the clearance rack. I know where you got it. Hold on. I'll tell you what. I tell you what, right? But they come in here and they pay $1,000 to sit in the nosebleeds. I mean, I understand why people sell the tickets, man, but god damn it, I hate these Cowboys fans.
Hey, it's fitting. Alex, Ricky, Cowboy, take me away.
Oh.
Cheers.
Oh man.
Appreciate you, Alex. It's good you're back in the chat.
God, I'm out of beer already, guys.
All right,
I'm gonna
Ricky.
grab another.
All right, Ricky.
Can we jump into statistically speaking?
Yes, let's do it. And hold on before you go, because this deserves a shout out, because you mentioned it off the top, and there's a lot of folks that have tuned in late. There was a lot of things this past week that Ricky, Bryson, and I touched on last week that if would come to fruition, Carolina would have a good chance against Miami. And a lot of the things we talked about came to fruition, and the things that we thought Carolina could do well against Miami that they struggled in came to fruition. So I just want to shout out this segment. It's a lot of numbers, but there are things in here that we talk about that if Carolina can take advantage of in this game against Dallas, they have a pretty good chance of winning. And for the first time in a long time, Carolina listened to some of these numbers and did what we said they should do, and they ended up winning. So I just want to shout out this segment because not everyone does this. Ricky spends a lot of time on this, and there is proof in the pudding on some of this. If they follow this script, they can have success on Sunday. So anyway, take it away, Ricky.
I appreciate it because this segment did really well, man, with the things that made a difference in the football game on Sunday. I thought that we hit on a lot of these. And really, it's just a matter of looking at the contrast in teams, right? We'll give you a broad general view with this first part right here when we break down the offense and the defense, and then we'll have the keys right after that. Let's look at the Carolina Panthers offense first. Points per game, 24th in the NFL at 20.4 points per game. 187 flat pass yards per game. That's 26 in the NFL. Rushing yards per game. Obviously, look, this is padded, right? We ran for over 200 yards. Rico Dowdle did his Rico Dowdle thing where he balled out. So this 128 rushing yards per game, this is absolutely padded. But I think that when we talked about this, guys, if you remember at the beginning of the season, we said give it 4, 5, 6 games, right? To really let the dust start to settle in, right? Like build that foundation to start seeing what teams actually are when we start doing this segment. And that's part of the fun. But I think that this 128 yards per game, I think this is closer to where we're actually going to be. If we're able to stay in the game flow that you want to in football games, I think this is exactly the way they want to attack this team. That's 10th in the NFL, by the way, 128 rushing yards per game. EPA per pass attempt, 28th in the league. Still not an efficient pass attack at 0.16 on the negative end of things. Now, our EPA on the rush, man, again, you talk about hitting the springs on the diving boards so that you can get a great cannonball. Plus 0.03 is what they got this time. They're tied for 8th in the league at EPA per rush attempt. That's an efficient run game. It happens when you start breaking off chunk runs for the duration of a football game against the Miami Dolphins. I wish we could play that Miami Dolphins team every damn week, man. I'd have such a fun time being a Panthers fan. The percentage of passes from the offense, 58.5% of the time the Carolina Panthers are throwing the rock. That's tied for 11th in the NFL. I'm going to go ahead and just dive right into the next side, guys. Let's look at the defense for the Panthers. 23.8 points per game allowed. That is 19th in the NFL. I also think that they've hit this groove here on this defense, guys. I think that this middle of the road numbers that you're seeing, this pattern right here, right? Like you look at it, 19th, 10th, 14th, 19th, 17th, 17th. I really think that that's our sweet spot. I don't know if that's our ceiling or if it's our floor, but I think this is where we should hover. I really do. Like, I feel like Marty McFly and Back to the Future 2 with a hoverboard. Like, we should be sitting here with our leather jacket hovering right here over Biff and all those idiots. 204.4 passing yards per game allowed. That's 10th. Our secondary has been really good for the duration of this season thus far. That's continuing. Rushing yards per game. We allowed 19 last week. So, again, this number is a little bit skewed. 107.2 rushing yards per game. That's 14th best in the league. We might end up creeping closer to that 15 to 20 by the time the season's over. But I think the thing to celebrate here, you're not going to see that number say 32 or 31 or 30. As long as this defensive front and these young edge players continue to develop and stay healthy, that number is not going to be what it was last year, man. And that was our biggest concern coming into this season for the Carolina Panthers football. So that feels good as hell. EPA per pass attempt allowed, plus 0.02. That's 19th in the league, right around middle of the road. I'm not going to fuss about it. EPA per rush, 17th. Again, right around middle of the road. I'm not going to fuss about it. Negative 0.04. Pass percentage against the Carolina Panthers, 56.8% of the time. The opponents are throwing the football against us. That's tied for 17th. Remember that number because there is a similarity between us and the Dallas Cowboys. There's not many when it comes to our defense, but there is one similarity when it comes to these Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. Let's get to this. This is my favorite part of statistically speaking when we look at the keys. This is a little bit, not necessarily deeper, right? But pointed data that we're looking at for this matchup. Yards before contact per rush attempt for the Carolina Panthers offense. This is on the left side, those little blue circles you see. 1.58 yards before contact per rush attempt for the Carolina Panthers. That's ninth best in the NFL. This offensive line has been doing its thing, even with the makeshift, man. Even with Robert Hunt gone, Cade Mays has absolutely been an upgrade over Austin Corbett. You cannot undersell that. And that is going to be also an important part of this football game. You will see why when we get to the Dallas Cowboys keys. Always, that's what we try to do here, right, Curtis? We try to find these correlations between the two teams. Last week, it was the explosive 10-plus yard rushes, right? And Miami and Carolina had this very blatant difference, right? Contrast. And it ended up working exactly like we wanted it to work. Some of the other things, again, worked exactly like we wanted it to work. Let's get into this next one, though. And this is what I told you about earlier. Gave a little teaser. We have had 6 first-half turnovers. I didn't rank this across like how many others there are in the league. That doesn't matter to me. If you want to talk about keys to this football game, you guys talked about it all night, Curtis, you and Bryson. The Dallas Cowboys offense is a no-shit offense. These guys score points. They throw the ball. They run the ball. They do everything pretty effectively. And they're doing it right now without CeeDee Lamb. But they are still chugging right along. These first-half turnovers, you got to stop them. It can't happen. If you get down by double digits, 3 possessions against this Cowboys team. Now, look, we did see the Jets get a little
Jets hung around. They
got
hung around, man. I watched that game. They hung around.
And that Jets offense, Curtis, man, they are not the same threat, in my opinion, that the Carolina Panthers offense is. So that's where I even said that when y'all were talking about it. That Jets team still stuck in there, man. And so I'm not completely out that if you do get a deficit, that count us out because the Cowboys can score at will. I trust our defense and I trust our offense more than I trust that Jets offense. So, but this has to cut out. 6 first-half turnovers, cut it out. I kept this one on here because remember, guys, that white number on the bottom there was 6 last week for 10-plus yard rushes. And that
another good one this week, man.
Was 30th, 32nd with the worst explosive rushes. Now, all of a sudden, we're at 13th. We're tied for 21st. This is something that can continue this week, boys. It still can. This is still an area that we can exploit, that we can attack, and we're going to look at how we do that on their keys as well. From a defensive standpoint, our quarterback pressure rate, I told you I was going to keep this here, and I'm never going to take this off until they start to figure something out. 25.4, I believe we were 24% last week. So they did boost it a little bit. We got a little bit of pressure. I believe they had, 3 sacks against the Miami Dolphins? Shout out Derek Brown. Shout out Pat Jones with the game-winning sack. Shout out Nick Scorton, too, though, man.
Yeah, he
Nick
brought
Scorton
that heat.
Yeah, man.
Scorton should have had a sack and someone got a cleanup. Was that the one? I can't remember.
That was That was Ashawn. Ashawn had that. But you know what, man? You got to finish the plays too. So I'm not even mad at that. But that stunt was by far the best stunt that I've seen the Panthers run. And we talked about this again last week when we talked about Nick Scorton's usage and Pat Jones needing to be back. Nick Scorton benefited tremendously from not having to play 90% of the snaps. He still played a grip. He was still a focal point of that defense. But he looked fresher to me at the end of that game than he did in that game against the New England Patriots. And I think that's serving well for everybody involved. We're still at 25.4%. That's tied for 30th in the league. Opponents' rushing rate inside the tackles against the Carolina Panthers. 35.8% of rushing attempts come from inside the tackles. That is the lowest rate in the NFL. And the reason I point that out is because what we talked about earlier, Derek Brown, Ashawn Robinson, Bobby Brown, even Cam Jackson as of late, But then Pat Jones, Nick Scorton's ability to move inside. This defensive front for the Panthers doesn't play around, bro. Like, we actually have something to be happy and proud about with this defensive front, in my opinion. But the contrast that you're going to see from these Dallas Cowboys, that's another reason I put it there. Yards after contact per rush attempt. We're 19th in the league, allowing 3.22 yards after contact per rush attempt. That is critical for the way that Dallas Cowboys find success. Hey, Bryson, when you did this last week, you did the visiting team, and we won that football game. Dare I say I'm a superstitious asshole while I'm wearing this Carolina Panthers Cowboys victory hat, drinking champagne out of a Pilsner glass. Would you mind going ahead and taking this next route?
Line it up, Ricky. Line it up.
Thank you, man.
All right. So we got the Cowboys offense. This is a pretty daunting side of football here. I think we've all seen Dak play at a pretty high level, even without CeeDee Lamb on the field. So let's get into it here. 30.2 points per game, fourth in the NFL. Pretty good amount of points that they've been able to put up to this point. 272.2 yards passing per game, third in the NFL. I don't think it's crazy to say that Dak to this point has played like an MVP caliber quarterback. He's putting up some pretty good numbers with whether it's Pickens or CeeDee Lamb or Jake Ferguson on the field. Like, he's putting up really good numbers. This offense, even rushing, which I'm about to get into, is doing a really good job. Javonte Williams, this rushing attack, they're putting up 134.4 yards per game. That's eighth in the NFL. EPA per pass at plus 0.16. That is tied for sixth in the NFL. The rush, again, EPA plus 0.05. That's fifth in the NFL. And then they're throwing it 62.3% of the time, which is fifth in the NFL. These guys are putting up really good numbers on offense. I mean, there's no way around it. They are a good offense to this point in the season. I think there were a lot of question marks, especially in regards to like the running back room for Dallas coming into the season. But Javonte Williams has been really good to this point.
They've also been in game scripts that need them to perform offensively, right?
Yeah.
Like, they haven't been in a whole lot of defensive struggles. So this is an offense that is getting a lot of usage as well. But yeah, good job on that.
Biggest test for our defense this week.
100%. Because Dak Prescott is also the best quarterback we faced. And it's not remotely close. Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback. And that is a good barometer if you want to have an intelligent football conversation. Ask somebody their opinion on Dak Prescott, and that will lead you to if you want to continue that conversation.
And kudos quickly to Schottenheimer. No one thought this offense would be rolling like they were.
Yeah.
And they look better than they did under McCarthy.
And before we move to this defensive slide, I want to kudos the chat here because they are showing lots of love to my guy Nick Scorton. Jared said that if Nick Scorton gets 2 sacks, I'll be calling him the best edge in football. I already practiced that in the mirror late at night, Jared. I have my cowboy hat on when I do it too, and I'm like, partner, I done told you about Nick Scorton and you weren't listening. But
when
now
is the jersey coming, Ricky? I mean, put your money where your mouth is here. Let's go.
Hey, maybe I will. Watch out for that parlay later this week. But shout out to the chat, giving Nick Scorton some love. All right, Bryson, take us home on the defense.
Yeah, let's do the opposite end of the spectrum here. We talked about a really good side of football in regards to the Cowboys offense. Let's talk about a really bad side of football in regards to their defense. They're giving up 30.8 points a game, tied for 29th in the NFL. They're giving up the most passing yards in the NFL at 284.6 yards a game. The defense couldn't stop a cold. 127.4 rush yards per game, which is 23rd. They traded Parsons. They got was it Kenny Clark from from Green Bay. So I guess he's helped a little bit there, but 23rd is nothing to write home on there. They're giving up a good chunk on running the ball. So I think there's a clear path here at plus 0.027 EPA per pass, 32nd in the league. Really looking like, to me, the secondary is struggling out there in Dallas. At plus 0.01 EPA per rush, that's tied 21st. And then offenses are passing at 56.8% of the time, and that's tied for 17th.
You know what's funny to me, Bryson?
Yeah.
You mentioned that the secondary looks to be struggling, right? I heard Dave Canales today in his press conference, and he was talking about the talent on the defense, though, for the Dallas Cowboys. He was like, man, they got a lot of talent. He was like, there's communication errors. I don't know what it is with Dave and this communication stuff, man. Like, I don't know if they have like a bank at home where every time he says communication, his wife owes him a dirty one. You know what I mean? Like, is there some sort of motivation for him to emphasize communication as much? But either way, he's talking about how their communication was great, but the communication is the issue, but the talent is there. He was like, man, they got corners that if you throw it to, they'll catch it. Well, you know what else happens, Dave? Is that opponents who play the Dallas Cowboys have receivers that if you throw it to, they're more liable to catch it because they are allowing receivers and quarterbacks to have their best days against them. And I hope that Bryce Young is, pardon me for this, but I hope he's saddled up and ready to ride.
All right. Let's get into the next slide here. If one of you gentlemen will get us there. All right. So the keys to the game here. Yards after contact per rush attempt, 3.99. That's first in the NFL. Ricky, forgive me here, but does that mean that their run attack is getting yards after contact or their defense is giving up?
That's right. That's their offense. So offensively, they are averaging the best yards after contact per rush attempt. And that is where they make their bread and butter. Javonte Williams has been terrific.
Yeah, he's been
getting
eating
through
there.
contact. Yep.
Yeah. All right. QBPR allowed 31.5%, which is 9th in the NFL. Rush rate inside the tackles. Here we go, Ricky, at 56.8%. That's 4th most in the league. So teams are not running against the Panthers inside the tackle, but this is what the Cowboys love to do.
Reminds you of that explosive rush rate last week, Bryson? Yeah. Doesn't that seem very, very reminiscent?
Wow. Yeah, I'm having flashbacks right now. I invite the Cowboys, please continue this trend this weekend. We would love to test your ability versus our ability. Let's see which one holds up. My money's on Derek Brown. I'll just say that.
That's
all right. As far as the defense here, yards before contact per rush attempt, 1.44 at 21st in the league. The defensive QB pressure rate at 11th with 36.9%. So, they are getting some pressure on the quarterback there.
They are. They're not finishing with a ton of sacks. Their sack rate is lower than that as far as like ranking. But they've got some guys that are getting some pressure.
Ezraku has looked good, man.
Donovan Ezraku's looked good. And y'all used to – I remember, Curtis, I remember you giving me some shit about Donovan Ezraku, talking about how to take him. I liked him a whole lot. But quarterback pressure rate, though, they also are getting pressure from the interior too. And so that's that yards before contact and the yards after contact and all that. The point of that was that battle at the line of scrimmage, that trench warfare – it's going to play a big part in the decision on Sunday.
And Ezraku was picked a couple picks before Scorton. I'm really curious to know if he was on Carolina's radar, if he would have fell. But anyway.
Might have been. I mean, he was in the Carolina draft guide where they got most of their information from.
Amen. All right, so this defense is giving up 21 10-plus yard rushes allowed, which is tied for 27th in the league. Rico Dowdle told him to buckle up. Brian Schottenheimer told him we have seatbelts ready. They need to buckle those things in because if Chuba's out, Dowdle's getting the rock again, and I think it's going to be personal for Dowdle. So I think that's going to add a little extra motivation for him to run a little bit harder than what we saw versus Miami, which was him running hard as hell already. So
hey, we got seatbelts too. We just call him J.C. Horn. George Pickens is going to learn about him.
Oh yeah, and hopefully he can get into his head a little bit and get a couple extra penalties there because we know Pickens likes to jaw on the field.
Yeah, didn't somebody say that Pickens is due for a fight? Wasn't somebody in here just calling that out? I thought I could have.
Yeah, someone did. Yeah,
that was a great comment.
I agree. It's definitely due. Definitely due. So anything stick out to you guys here about these stats?
Curtis?
I will say this. The pressure rate concerns me a little bit. I didn't realize Dallas was they're getting pressure, but they're not getting the quarterback. So that concerns me a little bit because I know Ezra Rocco, I've been watched him a couple times against Green Bay. I thought he played it pretty damn well. Kenny Clark has added some pressure there, the guy they traded for with Micah Parsons. But the thing that I hold on hope is Bryce Young can evade some of that pressure, and he's proven that these past couple games. So if he can get out of there and make some of those plays, that fourth down to T-Mac, the play to Jimmy Horn on fourth down, if Bryce Young can dig deep and find some of those plays, I think Carolina is in a good position. The offense, Dallas, scares the hell out of me. There's no doubt about it. I think Carolina's defense is going to have a tough time. One guy we haven't even talked about yet, and we'll probably talk about it once we talk about the game, is Jake Ferguson. He's playing outstanding as a tight end. We all know Carolina struggles against tight ends, and he's like top 3, I think, in the NFL right now as a tight end. So he's playing really well. I think Pickens, how much do we see J.C. Horn on him, is going to be key to this game, because Mike Jack, something we didn't even talk about. I thought Mike Jack struggled in this past game a couple times, most notably the end of the game with Waddle and that touchdown. But there was a couple even in the previous game where he struggled a little bit too. So that concerns me a little bit. But for Carolina, this is much of the playbook like we talked about last week, that run game. If Dowdle can get going, man, and if they stick to that, I think this offense can have success against this defense. I will be straight with y'all. I wasn't a fan of Dowdle coming out and saying that to Dallas, if I'm being honest. I'd like to be humble, stay with it. Don't try to create something that you don't need to create. That's just me. I'd rather keep it even keel and
I don't like when people clip a dog's ears and tell him not to bark and put a shot collar on. I get it.
I understand it. I
want my dog to look like a dog, and I want my dog to sound like a dog.
Okay,
I think that Rico Dowdle is just showing you, hey, man.
I'm more humble, man. I'm like, let's go out there and show them on the field. That's just
me, man. Curtis is taking the Dave Canales approach with the.
That's right. That's right.
Shit talking.
That's right.
Yeah, I loved it. I keep it coming. Talk more shit. I'm all about it, dude.
Right here, we got a super chat that we got to just get to immediately because it just came in hot off the press, but Jake nails it.
Amen.
This is what we're all talking about, right? Another week, another opportunity. Cheers, fellas. Hell yeah, Jake. Cheers. Another opportunity. And we're actually going to use that super chat as a segue to get into these game predictions, right? Because that's the most organic thing I've ever seen in my life.
Do it.
All right, who wants to fire away? Well, chat, we want to hear your guys' prediction for this week. So send it in. Let's see what you guys got. I'm not going to start. So Rick,
I don't mind starting. I'll start if you guys want me to. If you want like the winner,
is red as cherries.
If you want the winner to start off, I can do it because I am the only.
What was your score prediction last week? I wanted to ask you about that.
30-23. So not super far off.
Close.
Not super far off.
Man, you got that. You got that crystal ball.
Give us something good, brother.
What? All right. So look, let me tell you. Here's the deal, man. I agree 100% with this offense, with Dak Prescott and this Dallas Cowboys offense being problematic for the Carolina Panthers. But there is something about this game, guys. Bryce Young had a grotesque performance against the Dallas Cowboys last season. Outside of that Jalen Coker long touchdown, right? If you remove that from the equation, and I know Panthers fans, we love to remove the bad things from Bryce's equation, but if you remove the one good thing from his equation, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen the Panthers offensive line play, with the worst quarterback play, with the worst defensive play, with just the worst play. But guess what? Xavier Woods ain't going to be on CeeDee Lamb on this game. The only person that's going to be on CeeDee Lamb in this game is David Tepper's rug. He's going to be sitting on the artificial turf with his feet grounded on the bench because he's on IR. He's not playing. George Pickens will be the wide receiver to worry about. George Pickens is immensely talented. So is J.C. Horn. And Jake Ferguson is a really good tight end, and tight ends have given us hell. But if you remove the miscommunication issue last week against Darren Waller had a nice game. He didn't have any kind of like, oh man, tight ends are just our Achilles heel. We'll never be able to defend them. Nah. I actually thought that the defense played pretty well outside of a couple of capital errors, right? If you shore that up a little bit, Dallas is going to score. I'm not predicting a 13-10 game. That is something I won't do for either of these teams because I also think that the Carolina Panthers, I sold it last week, the opportunity they had against that defense. And even last week, talking about the Miami Dolphins defense, Bryson, what did I say multiple times? I said the only team in the same universal sphere of this Miami Dolphins team is the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to the deficiencies on defense. So I think what happens is this is a game where we talk about the resiliency of Bryce Young. I think this is a game that Bryce Young might have a damn circle on the calendar. I think he might say, hey, look, this Panthers fan base, we don't give Bryce Young enough credit. But when I listen to that mic'd up Bryce Young, that young man is a beast. That young man is a killer. And he also has a little bit of like vengeance in him, right? Like you can see it, man. He's got like this little like personal vendetta that he has, almost cowboy-esque, if you will, right? Like he's looking to settle a score, partner. And I think that happens this Sunday at the Bank of America. I think that Bryce Young comes in. I think he is looking to finally get these Walmart, Nike wearing Wrangler jeans with the big belt buckles. I think he's ready to watch them march out of Bank of America Stadium. And I think he wants them to leave in the middle of the third quarter, maybe early fourth. I think he wants them to go ahead and beat traffic on Mint Street. I think the Carolina Panthers win this football game. I think they win it 31-26.
All right, Bryson. We'll go to the chat after we do our predictions. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm struggling right now because last week Ricky was the only one to predict the Panthers to win. I don't know if I want to change that. I think also the Dallas offense does legitimately scare me. We've talked about that. You know, they've put up numbers at a high clip. I'm going to stick with the trend that I did last week. I think the Cowboys are a formidable opponent. Their defense is susceptible, right? Like I think it's going to be a close game. I agree with that, Ricky. I do think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way.
I thought Bryson was going to turn a new leaf here. Maybe not.
No, I'm going to take the Cowboys winning this at Bank of America Stadium. I'm going to go 34-30. Cowboys win.
Yeah, I thought Bryson was at a turn here, and then I was going to bring us back down to earth.
Bring it home,
I think
Curtis.
this Dallas
Go ahead and
team,
do it.
I think this Dallas team is too much for Carolina, the way they played last week. Bryce Young needs to be lights out if they want to win this game. No turnovers. Maybe one you can get away with, but not two. But I think Dallas is going to be too much. There's going to be way too many fans at the bank, which is so frustrating to see, honestly. Even with Miami's turnout last week, I was shocked at how bad that team was and how many fans showed out for that game. So I'm with Bryson on this one. He stole my score, or close to it. I'm going to say 35-24 Carolina loses. I think Carolina will kind of mount some sort of comeback at the end. Just continue on this trend of the early turnovers. I hope Bryce Young turns around. I hope he proves us wrong, and I hope Ricky's right. But until that happens, I just can't do it. They burned me once after that Atlanta game and laid a dud after that week. So I hope they prove me and Bryson wrong. But I think it's gonna be tough sledding against. I think Dallas is a pretty good team, and it's gonna be tough sledding on Sunday. But I want to go to the chat here, Chris Dillard.
You know what, chat? I think that we need to start raising the proposal that when I win again, and I predict this Carolina Panthers team to win, I think that my champagne buying has to be subsidized by these two Cowboys sympathizers, right? Like maybe you have to buy my champagne from Walmart just to stay on theme or something like that, but I'm sure they sell bubbles.
Chris Diller's got 27-24 Panthers. James Cody, I'm assuming Panthers winning this one 31-28. Bryce runs for 40 yards in this game. Panthers, Bo with the super chat. So we got a 199. We appreciate you, Panthers, Bo.
And I'm gonna go ahead and give it to him. He says when XL scores or Nick sacks, we ride. I tell you what. I tell you what.
Ricky, if the Panthers win, I promise you I will cash app you $15 to buy some
What
champagne.
kind of champagne you think I'm drinking? $15. That's Prosecco for Curtis. I'm drinking from Champagne, France, baby.
All right, 20
champagne. Chill out.
Hey, don't make me hold up the label now and tell you to Google it.
Big Mash, 31-23. Can't be superstitious with the Carolina Reaper. Pets in the bathtub. You already put this score up, but 31-16. James Cody says Bryce is going to be eating brisket after this one, man. He'll throw over 250 and run over 40, 4 touchdowns. NFC Player of the Week. I'll tell you what, James Cody, I would love that.
Let's go.
I would love that. I am loving the confidence here, y'all.
Hey, I might have to smoke a damn brisket if they do this. If James
Panthers Carolina 34, Dallas 27. If Panthers win, I'll send y'all $100 on tap.
Hey, Joko, you already joined the membership. If the Panthers win, you just come and you drink some champagne with us next week. That's all I ask.
Good.
And Miss Reigns ends it with 27.
Right, now my mother asked earlier in this chat, and I didn't answer it. She said, "Ricky, can I borrow your Panthers Cowboys hat for the game this weekend?" 100% you can, because I want those Cowboy fans to see what a real Cowboy hat looks like. So yeah, 100% you can wear this thing on Sunday.
Love that. Hey, we appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Over 900 folks joined in on this stream. We thank every single one of you. We do have a giveaway. Bryson, do you have that?
Yes, I do.
Do we have so we have Stephen Belk, Joko, Hayden, Alex, and that's it. So this is I
got like a 25% chance of winning this shirt.
Good odds.
All right.
This is for the free t-shirt. Let's see if we can figure this thing out.
Yeah, you gotta remind me how. Oh, I see it. Never mind. Okay, let me think.
You got it, Bryson. You're not just beauty, you got brains in there too.
Here we go. I got it.
Oops. Remove.
There we go.
Can you see it?
There it is.
Look at that. That's live TV, folks.
Cool.
Let's do it.
All right. Look at this wheel here. 4 entries. All right. Click
That's a big ass pie chart.
All right. Let's see who's the winner.
If Alex wins, we're not giving it to him.
No.
He deserved it.
Hey, Steven deserved it, man. He had the wings and the beer. Steven, congratulations, bro.
Steven, if you're on Twitter, DM us.
Yeah,
if you're not on Twitter, find
He's obviously on Twitter. He posted his meal for us.
DM us on Twitter, your address, and I will send that out ASAP for you. But we appreciate every single one of y'all for becoming a member. And again, we'll be, I'm hoping within the probably next month or so, we get some merchandise out for y'all, and we'll try to roll it out to our members first. Because it'd be nice to get either the hats or the shirts. We'll do something for y'all.
Y'all will get dibs though, and you'll get a discount. We'll figure that out, man.
Yeah, we'll get that squared away. But hey, man, big game this weekend at home. Hopefully Carolina is on Ricky's side here and pulls it off.
Panther Bo, you be safe out there now.
But we appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in tonight. And thank you as always. And in the meantime, keep pounding.